Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm Jeff Howard, and I am on Zoom right now with Maxwell Hamilton. Hey, Maxwell.
Hello, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good, and it's good to see you. So Maxwell's on the podcast because you are the producer of The Mannequin. Right. And I'm about to rattle off 4 awards that The Mannequin took home from Film Invasion Los Angeles in 2025, which I also should say, I believe that was your LA premiere?
It was. Yeah. That was our first time getting together with the local premiere, so yeah.
You know, I am well aware that it's not like you and your collaborators sat down and said, we're going to hold the film for Film Invasion LA. But I love when the timing works out and
It worked out perfectly. And we went big for Film Invasion. You know, it was our first time all seeing it at a festival. So.
Oh, that's so nice. And I honestly, I remember the first time I watched it, and I think you all might have even submitted a version that you said it's not final.
Correct. Yeah.
And I was watching that fucker, and it's so damn good. It's by the way, we curse on this podcast.
Okay, thank God.
And I believe I was watching The Mannequin with my wife, and we're horror aficionados because our now college freshman is. She came home from a slumber party.
Yeah.
When she was in middle school, and announced she was only watching horror from then on. So like most weekends, we sat down and watched horror as a family.
Horror? Oh wow.
So we know our way around horror, and I remember watching The Mannequin and just saying to myself, well, first of all, I recognize the location.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I know that spot next to it's right next to the 10, right?
Right next to the 10, yeah.
Right there. So fucking good. And I'm like watching this just fantastic independently produced horror feature and just saying to myself, holy shit, this is we might get. I was actually excited about a premiere already, because when someone submits a work in progress, you actually start to say to yourself, all right, this thing is fucking fantastic, and it's not even complete.
Right, yeah.
I bet it was just sound and like color timing or something, right?
Final mixing, and I think we had a little more coloring to do. We went back in to put some flicker on it.
That's right, because we had actually writer-director John Berardo had to like meet our DCP guy, like they met
in like the parking lot of a McDonald's or something.
The parking lot of McDonald's, like halfway between Universal and Glendale, because our DCP guy was at Universal for one of those events. Oh, it was for Cinegear Expo.
Yeah.
Anyway, funny story. Hopefully that entertains anyone listening.
We were down to the wire getting you guys your files for the festival.
No, believe it or not, some people, their DCPs didn't work and they were later than you. So there you go. Well, they didn't work, so we had to get a replacement.
Got it, yeah.
So there was actually no DCP stress on our end with The Mannequin.
Hey, all right. Well, it's good to hear.
And so The Mannequin, after that LA premiere, we were able to announce you won 4 grand jury awards. Best feature film horror, best screenplay for a feature film, not genre specific, for John Berardo. The award for best cinematography in a feature film for Jonathan Pope. And finally, best production design in a feature film for Emily Peters. And I have to say, all 4 awards extremely well. I actually, when I said best feature film horror, I should have said producer Maxwell Hamilton.
Well, that's all right. It was a team effort, yeah.
Right, because at the Oscars, though, you name and you had Ashley Rosenberg was also listed as producer, right?
Correct.
So your 2 names should have been on the producer on the best feature film award.
Hey, having an award with The Mannequin on it is incredible. So,
well, I'm sure many more awards are coming and probably have arrived, because it's just wonderful work. It's excellent. People can watch it right now. Where can they watch it?
People can watch it right now. As of this week, when this comes out, we are out on Apple and Amazon to rent or buy. So
to rent or buy. So let me just urge everyone, if you are listening to this and you haven't seen The Mannequin, because I'm sure a lot of people listening are your friends and family or whatever, but those of you who aren't Maxwell's friends and family, I'm not kidding. Like this is your opportunity to support indie film, because this film was genuinely independent and it's genuinely fantastic. And if you have any and it's actually not even well, I'm about to say it's not even the kind of horror that scares off non-horror fans. Like
Sure,
horror
sure.
fans will love it, and if
Right.
you're not a horror fan, it will really strike you as just a fantastic drama with horror elements.
I'm glad you said that. I mean, we had a lot of like feedback when it was coming out of like it's kind of a drama, and we were being told that as if it was a bad thing. And I remember chatting with John, and I was like, I think it's great. Like it means that we have like well thought out characters and good dialogue scenes. And I was like, let them breathe. Like let those like let's not cut those scenes up. It's a completely different aspect to it. So something that I'm proud of.
Yeah, and you should be. And really,
Well,
and the people who the whole genre of horror has changed in the last decade, right? And it's just flourished. And there's slow burn creepy horror where there's not one jump scare, and there's constant jump scares, and there's stuff set in colonial. Like there's a million
right.
subgenres of horror now. So I don't
Absolutely.
think
Yeah.
anyone who told you that your dramatic elements were bad were just close minded. If you
They
ask
were
me.
being picky, and we took it with grace.
Exactly.
I turned it into a positive.
So seriously, people, watch it now before it ends up, on AVOD or some other thing where it gets
Right.
commercials chopped in. I understand it's nice not to pay, but whatever, $6.99, $8.99, whatever the rental is on Apple and Amazon, it's worth it. And it will, and you are actually
My
supporting
spiel is it's
indie
the
film.
it's the price of a cup of coffee. Instead of getting your $7 latte in the morning, save it and maybe see a great movie at the end of the night when you're settling down.
See a great movie and know that like you are actually encouraging more great indie films to be made and proving to distributors that quality indie films will get audiences. So
Well, thank you. Yeah.
that's my soapbox moment.
I love it. Yeah, no, thank you. I mean, yeah, we're very excited for it, and the fact that it's going to be out when this goes out is it's just very very exciting, and we can't wait to have people come see it.
Yeah, and whichever one takes a smaller cut off your back end, will make a clickable link in the show notes because
Perfect. Yeah.
because I can't off the top of my head I don't remember who's I'm about to be a very close-minded anti-corporate person, which I'm not
Yeah.
all the time, but needless to say, like you throw it up on their servers and they're charging whatever they're charging, and I forget
Exactly.
who keeps 1/3, who keeps 25%, whatever.
You're right, right, right. I think the rent or buy thing for the filmmaker's perspective is probably the closest way for us to generate some kind of revenue. And then, of course, it goes to AVOD and, we're watching with commercials and then eventually the subscriber platforms. And at that point, it's just let's get it out and get as many people to watch it as possible.
For
But
sure. And I
for the
bet
first
I
couple of
bet you'll
months,
have a great AVOD period anyway because it's the right genre, it's so well made, and you know, this will be I'll make a slight reference to the opening sequence, which
right.
if that doesn't grab someone, then they're not
That's the
worthy of
intention.
the
Yeah,
mannequin. You know what I mean?
we get you. We put you right in like deep left field with the intro. I won't say much, but
But it's special and it's cinema and you're watching, right? Like well, geez, I'm about to compare you all to Paul Thomas Anderson. Where like
oh my
I know, but I
god.
remember I have a memory of sitting in a theater in LA for Phantom Thread, and
Yeah,
the first couple minutes, I just kind of said to myself, I am in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing.
right. Just
Just
sit
like I'm
there
in the
and
hands of quality
phenomenon.
filmmaking here and just
Yeah,
enjoy it. And honestly, that's what that opening sequence of the mannequin I think communicates. Is like you are in the hands of people who really give a shit. This is this film is taking it a little is making a more sincere effort than the average
I
indie.
appreciate. Yeah, I mean, funny enough, that was our like longest and most difficult day shooting this opening sequence. Which I'll say, it's black and white. It kind of reminds you of we leaned in heavy for the Hitchcock element and those classic horror movies that you can see. But there's a difference between the cinematography style and putting it on a long dolly and longer takes and not so much cut. So like it was a complete it was in the middle of our shooting schedule, so everything was still modern and whatnot. And then when we had to flip to like a complete different side of our brains and a different tone for the whole day, it was an amazing challenge that I'm glad to hear was received well. But yeah, that's what gets you at first. It's you start off and you go, wait a minute, is this whole movie going to be black and white? And kind of a
Yeah.
motif for the old
And
ones. And
if you're a nerd like me, you're kind of hoping it will be.
right, right. You're like, okay, let's haven't seen this in a while. So yeah, it's great to
But
hear.
then when it makes the transition to modern day, it's perfect. It all works. It's seamless. So, all right, that's my pitch to try to get people to watch it.
Thank you. Yeah.
And now I'm going to ask you the question I ask everyone because, of course, as a festival runner of two festivals in the LA area, we mentioned that. Yeah, I said it was Film Invasion Los Angeles
Yeah.
that we did your LA premiere, and
Yeah.
its sister festival, Sherman Oaks Film Festival, and they're two great festivals in the LA area. So I'm just grateful to every time I see a great film, particularly a great feature, because they're a lot harder to pull off.
Sure. Right.
As you can imagine, when we're in the thick of choosing films for a festival, and you realize, wow, it's like three in every 100 features is good, and like six in every 100
Sure.
shorts is good,
Right.
and it's only three more shorts than features, but it's actually like I think that suggests that it might be twice as easy to like six. I mean, it's just a really tall order.
Sure. And I can only imagine, I mean, if you're in a short that, if you're watching a short that maybe isn't going to make the cut, at least it's going to be done in 15 minutes. And you can go to the next one and check it off your list. But for a feature, you're more or less stuck there for, at least another hour.
You
I
give it,
don't
well,
know
you
if you
give it your
watch stuff.
time,
You're
but
right.
at some point when you say to yourself, well, I've already seen
Right.
a handful of features that are good enough for the festival.
Right.
I do admit to people, I'm like, no, I don't watch all 813 films,
Yeah,
but I
right.
start all 813.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Right. Give everything the equal shot and then, give it the first 20 minutes, I would
And
assume.
then, I don't feel bad about it because it
No.
is the filmmaking team's job to grab that audience and hold them.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Don't
I'm
don't
glad we made the first 20-minute pass from you and your team for Film Invasion.
I don't think anyone stopped. In fact, I can promise you that yeah, we watched it in one sitting. It wasn't like watching it and then like coming back and finishing it later. It was like
Sure.
watching this to the end. And
Amazing.
excellent work.
Well, it's great to hear. Thank you.
All right, so your role on it was producer, but I imagine you were involved much earlier. But before you talk about how you got involved in the Mannequin and your collaboration with writer director John Berardo, would you want to share your personal journey to becoming a film producer and working in this world?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'll real quick, I'll say, I mean, I'm producer of the movie, but I also play the role of Peter Adler in the movie, which was my original attachment to the movie. I was already attached as an actor. That's John's and I's previous relationship. I've acted for him before. A number of times over the past almost probably 15 years now. We met at school, and it was he knew that I would also do production work or producing work, but it wasn't until the Mannequin where he asked if I was willing to come on as producer. But I'll get to that, when we get back to it. I mean, so to answer
Although
that,
wait, I'm
yeah,
actually gonna break my rule and interrupt you and
yeah,
say
please.
so I wasn't 100% sure that was you because you have a different look than
Sure,
you do
right,
in the
right.
film.
Actually, just recently shaved my head recently to go closer to the look, but no, it's different. Yeah.
And I have to say that you're in a climactic scene of sorts,
Yes.
and you are pivotal to it, and your performance fucking got me.
Well,
Like, like,
thank
like,
you.
honestly, like for me, that scene is as important as the introduction scene,
Sure, right.
and
It all comes down to how we pull off the climax.
yeah, and it just as a festival runner, I'm watching it as a juror and just watching it and going, oh my God, this is exactly where most films would lose me.
Sure, right.
And I am in twice as deep.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. I
And
mean, yeah,
and
we
and I'm
we
and
go there.
I am crediting your performance for that.
Well, thank you. I mean, it was one, so much fun to shoot. But two, I mean, there was a pressure to it. I mean, without spoilers, I was memorizing Latin and all this stuff. There was a lot of pressure on that scene for me, especially because I was going split brain, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. But throughout the process, I was wearing two hats. And me and Ashley, the other producer, I mean, she was really great. We had an agreement where if I had a day that I had a scene with my character, I wanted to give my original attachment to the film was to play Peter. I was like, I want to make sure that that's not getting, I'm not getting distracted with, all the plethora of problems that we were dealing with as producers. So I had asked her, I was like, if there's a day with a scene with me, if it's okay, I'd love to be focused on that. If I wrap and we're still halfway through the day, I can switch right back. But I was like, if there's a day where I have a scene coming up, I need to show up and kind of be focused on that. And that was one of the bigger days. I mean, that was we probably an entire day of shooting was the climax. I think we even did it over 2 days. But yeah, just being fully focused on that and making sure that that was the best that it could be. Because if I'm distracted as in the climax, which is more or less leading the other lead characters through the climax, if I'm not there, 1,000%, they're not going to come with me 1,000%. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't say more about it without spoilers,
right, right.
but you did mention the word Latin, and
Yes.
and
So
let's be
use
honest,
your
like
imagination there.
that is. I mean, it's just that was not easy.
Right.
I know for sure that the team really pulled something off with this film.
Yeah, yeah. But then to go back to your question, I mean, so that was my original attachment to the movie. We'll get to that later. But to answer your question, I mean, that was how I got started and how I, got started in the business. I work as an actor, and I
Like as a kid, did you get involved in acting like
not
at the
professionally or
school play
anything.
level or?
Yeah, school plays, and that was really how it kind of got started. I mean, honestly, the school play thing was I was not serious at the time. I was a total class clown, and that was my period of the day where I got to screw around and let energy out throughout the day. And then it was the same with like I joined a kind of like a local after school kids theater throughout high school, and there were some, and adults in the class, but for the most part, I'd say most of the cast were high school students, and that was really looking back. I don't have memories of school anymore. I can't remember what happened in high school. My only treasured moments were being at this theater program after school every day, and those were like the friends that I cherished and whatnot. I still have plenty of good friends from high school, but that's where I was that would kind of click in and really start living, in my opinion. So that's kind of how I got started. At first, it started as a way to screw around and just have fun and have a community of friends to put on fun work. But then eventually, it started getting more serious for me. I mean, I really started noticing how I was investing my time and my energy into it, and how it was taking my focus, and I wasn't paying attention in math class or what say you. I was like, oh, this is where my brain is, and this is all I'm thinking about. So that was kind of the transition and the introduction to it. And then really it wasn't until applying for colleges where I decided I'm going to give this a shot. I certainly did not have the grades to get into a good school or anything. So I went the route of auditioning for schools, and got into UCLA for acting, or for musical theater at the time, actually. And I was like, okay, then let's do this. Let's give this a shot. So went to UCLA for musical theater originally. Couple years later, I transitioned out of musical theater. I evaluated that I was not going to be able to make a career out of dancing specifically. They called me the ballerino in class, not the ballerina. I was just kind of plowing through all those rehearsals, but transitioned to acting, and then started picking up some on-camera work with TV and film, and studying that a little bit more. So it took a process of a few years through being at UCLA to kind of hone in on where specifically I wanted to go. Was, a lot of the friends were dead set on going to New York after and doing the Broadway thing and the off-Broadway thing. And I started just getting more attracted to, I mean, I was in LA. I started making connections in LA, and I was like, I think I'm going to do the LA thing for a little bit. Ironically enough, and I'll say this because you know this gentleman, through that, I booked my first professional play right as I was wrapping up college at UCLA, with a writer director named Daniel Talbot, who I think we talked about briefly when I met you. Which I'll have to say, I mean, I have to say, when I walked into the opening night of your party, meeting everyone for the first time, sure, John and I were very nervous. We got to work the room. It's, everyone's got their jitters. And I walked in and I saw Daniel, who was, I have to credit, I mean, he was the one that gave me so much of a start out of college. He was the one that kind of plucked me out of a student environment, threw me into my first professional theater show in LA. And I ended up going with him to San Francisco. I remember it was the day after graduation. I was on a plane to go up and start doing work with him up in San Francisco. And then I ended up going to New York, ironically enough, even though it wasn't what I was intending on. I ended up going to New York for just under a year and doing a handful of shows with him and his company, Rattlestick Theater, and his company, Rising Phoenix Rep. So that was kind of, I just kind of catapulted into the professional working world, which was amazing. And to be honest, a huge relief. And suddenly I was out there. But being with Daniel out there in New York, and especially meeting the other professional actors that he has under his wing, that was a huge, I mean, if not more than UCLA. Love UCLA so much, and the training that had, but you got to just throw yourself in and start surrounding yourself with professional actors. And I think I learned tenfold more just kind of being in the trenches with them in the rehearsals and doing the shows. So I think it was my time in New York that I think I treasure most in regards to like a training and just becoming a young professional working actor. That was huge. So
For sure. And you were doing the live theater thing, which every time I meet an actor who came to LA,
sure.
I always ask, like, do you do live theater?
Right.
Because you had that period where you got to develop your skills with immediate feedback.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm even going to relate that. I can see those skills in that climactic scene of the mannequin because
yeah.
Right? Because I can now, it all comes together for me that
Sure.
that the person who managed to carry that scene had stage work. Of course.
Right. It's
Right?
a very physical scene, and it just takes, I mean, you have to just be prepared and know. I mean, I'm not going to explain.
And like you're projecting and yeah, it's
Right.
So honestly, I mean, even though I realize sometimes it's actually a challenge to go from stage to camera, I really think it just makes actors better.
I couldn't agree more. I'm very grateful that I had a lot of time, especially in my younger career, to do a lot of theater. Admittedly, I haven't done much recently, and I've been wanting to do one of those 99-seat theater plays on Santa Monica Boulevard, and like there's just so much great new work there. In fact, I remember it was a very inspiring moment, but also very harrowing. When I came back to LA, I was an understudy at one of those shows, and it was right around when Equity was doing a strike. And Equity was basically laying down the book and saying, you have to pay these 99-seat theater actors a livable wage. And the actors voted no because the theaters would have got shut down. They simply couldn't afford it. I remember I was a fly on the wall for that one. I didn't know how to vote. I was still learning, and I was just, meeting these other actors and hearing about their experience and what their opinion was on that. But I remember when everyone well, not everyone, but the majority vote was no, we'd rather just keep doing good new work. And we have our lives. We can be the Trader Joe's cashier or the waiter or the bartender, Uber driver. They all voted on that because it was like, we value the work in these theaters over getting, obviously paid a livable wage, but they knew that the consequence would be a lot of those theaters would shut down. So that was a very inspiring thing for me, especially for LA theater, which usually kind of gets not as great as a rap as New York theater or Chicago or anything like that. But to have the LA theater community come together for something like that was amazing. So I did that show. And then after that, I became a bartender and server and Uber driver and all that, because that was not going to be a way for me to pay my rent.
but it got you stage time. And by the way, I neglected to ask, because when you mentioned UCLA, where did you grow up?
I grew up in LA. I grew
Oh,
up
you
in
so
the
you're an
LA
Angel.
area.
I'm an
Yeah, I grew
Angelino
up in the
too.
South Bay area, so like Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach, and whatnot. The theater, I'll name it. The theater that I grew up, the after school program is the Norris Theater in Palos Verdes. So after school, I would drive up to the hill and do a theater there, and it was incredible. So no, I've been in LA for the strong majority of my life, other than this year in New York with that crew. But no, I mean I know I'm an LA local. I know it like the back of my hand.
That's excellent. Now, actually, I didn't know about the equity vote and stuff, but that's such a relief because I admit, as a fan of indie, like I always like the SAG low budget modified, like the
Right.
SAG things for an indie film make indie films impossible.
Exactly. It's the same thing. It's like, so you have to be willing to take a lower paycheck if you want the work to prosper. And so it was just
Yeah.
kind of an inspiring moment for the
And
actors,
seriously, like you get one line on CSI, fine.
and
Get
you're
get a
taken
big
care of. Right.
paycheck for that one line. But if
Right.
that actor wants the opportunity to be a lead, they might have to
Do the indie route.
work for muffins.
Exactly, exactly. And there's still people, I mean, there's still actor friends that I have that are still doing student films for no pay just because they like the project, they believe in the up and coming director and the team and so it's very inspiring in that sense. It's not necessarily about the money in those regards. Um so yeah, I mean that's kind of my background and backstory.
That's your background. So when did you start the whole process once you came back to LA? Because I assume in New York, like it was all about stage.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
when you
I
came back to SoCal, was it hitting the pavement and trying to get that one line on a network
More or
show and this
less.
and that?
Yeah, yeah, more or less. I mean, I was lucky enough to have representation at that time that was supporting me in both cities. I think when I was out in New York, I did probably a couple of like Law and Order, those one characters, or the dead body. But when I came back, it was all focused there, and yeah, I had little roles on TV shows, a couple pilots here and there. So it was doing that grind. But to tie it into where we were, also at that time at UCLA, I met a gentleman named John Berardo, who I think he was on his last year at UCLA when I was a freshman, and we connected in a play and became friends. And then I'll let him tell you this in much more depth. But when he went to USC then for grad school for film, I was just doing all of his student projects. I remember me and one other friend that was still at UCLA, we were connected with him, and Lindsay Levanchi, who was in the Mannequin. We were all kind of this crew that would drive over to USC at like 7 p.m. after school and whatnot, and we'd shoot all night with students at the time. But a lot of them became the crew of the Mannequin. I mean, we've been working together for a very long time. John Pope, Emily Peters, those are all USC Film School people. So to tie it into, working with John and specifically with the Mannequin, I mean, there is a family aspect that we've been all kind of collaborating for the last 12-ish years.
That surely has to be. I never ever ever ask anyone to say anything about their budget,
Sure.
but I'm sure that the personal connections and everyone being devoted to quality is why the Mannequin
100.
looks as fantastic as it does for what I'm sure wasn't hundreds and hundreds of thousands.
Certainly was not, no.
But if you were at a festival, if you were at whatever, if you were at Tribeca and you told everyone, yeah, we put 1.5 million into this, no one would say bullshit. I think they would believe you.
Right. Well, thank you. That's the fun question when people do ask, and I actually learned this through John. When someone says, "What is your budget?" Your response is, "Well, what do you think the budget was? What does it look like?" Don't answer the question, but say, "What is it? What does the quality look like?"
Yeah, when
Um,
I used to when I was the Q&A moderator, if a hand in the audience ever went up and they said, "What was your budget?" I would
yeah.
immediately go, "You don't have to answer that."
Okay. Yeah. Right.
But
Right. Right.
sometimes people want to because they want to go, actually, it was $300. So
Right. Right.
kiss
We
my ass.
I'll say this. I mean, we were SAG ultra low budget, and the cap of an ultra low budget is 300,000. So take with that. We were right in that pocket of pulling it off for a SAG ultra low budget.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
And you all, the team, proved that God, imagine what you could do with if you could do that with the ultra low.
Right.
You proved you deserve more. So that's
That's great
excellent.
to hear. Yeah. I
So
mean,
you're in LA and you're auditioning and grinding the gears and still doing some stage and doing the things to keep a roof over your head.
exactly. That, what the day job at the time turned into be was PAing. I started PAing on sets and TV shows and movies, and that was my learning experience to learn the producing side and the production side. And that's, I mean, what I did for almost a decade, PAing and then production coordinating, kind of moving up that production ladder. Still to this day, I work as a production manager for something that needs extra hands-on, and I love it. I kind of, it was funny because growing up, I was a completely creative person, not organized at all. I didn't have whatever, I think it's the right side of the brain or whatever, whichever one is the more analytical spreadsheet. I was not fine-tuned in that department at all. So this was kind of my like training wheels in that. I mean, sure, it was a job, and that's how I was getting rent paid over, other than acting work and some voiceover work. But that's kind of how I started now producing, was just being a PA on sets. And I also, I mean, to the same thing of actors should, it's best if they have like a stage background. I really think anyone in the movie business or the TV business, like just do a couple of days at least, but being a PA. I mean, you have to, the PAs know the ins and outs of everything going wrong on a set and everything going right, because they're, in my opinion, the unsung heroes. So that was kind of my trial by fire learning experience of just being a PA, and then, making connections there, starting coordinating on some shows, and some films. And so, yeah, to connect it all, when John was ready for the Mannequin, when he had been writing, and I should say that we've worked together on his previous film, On Initiation. I was an actor in that, and so I knew that he was working on his next project. We had a couple of table read-throughs from very previous renditions of the story, that it's a completely different film now, but we had been more or less attached to this idea for a while. And I remember, I think it was me that threw it out to him, just saying like, hey, by the way, like when it gets up and running, I can, let me know if you need help on the logistical side, getting it together, because I love you and I can do it. And I remember he called me a couple of months later. I think he was probably, I wasn't his first choice, I know that. But I think he called me one day and he was like, do you think that you could produce this? And I said, yeah, what do you mean? Like production coordinator? Like where do you think? And he was like, no, can you produce it? And I had never done that before. I had never been the one in charge, at the top, basically. And so I lied and said, yes, I can do it. And the whole process was trial by fire. I mean, Ashley Rosenberg, the other producer, she had plenty of experience as well. So we just got together, and it was like summer camp, basically. We just got to we were either on the phone or meeting up at a coffee shop every single day, just saying, okay, what's next? What's next? Let's make the list. And yeah, it was a full-time commitment for, however long pre-production was. I think it was like 3 or 4 months, full-time job.
Yeah, so full-time job and but you definitely, I was going to add to your story that not all PAs get invited back. So
Right.
you definitely showed a lot. I mean, honestly, to start as a PA and have success with it and continue, that means you worked hard, you weren't full of shit,
Right.
you do things. If you didn't know how to do things, you would find out how to do. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
it really is, like you said, the PAs are the unsung heroes, and the truth is, it's kind of funny because just the other day I was talking to some people who made a short with a pretty very experienced, like one of those actors who had 60 years of work.
Sure.
And,
Yeah.
and he was sort of aggressively rude to the producer. And I'm like, that's because he's used to studio producers where they're the ones who say no. I'm like, the indie film producer is literally the spine that keeps the body standing.
Right. And they're doing the best they can to keep the talent happy, but also make sure everything's within
Yeah.
budget.
So it really is. It really. So you did exactly what someone's supposed to do, which is this indie film. You put on the you got a promotion for it.
Right, right. And to your point of what you said, I mean, yeah, I think it's important that everyone knows of, yes, as a PA or really anyone, I think I'm preaching to the choir here that we already know this, but you have to obviously know what you're doing. Be transparent, in my opinion, if you don't know the answer. I say John is sick of me saying this, but as I was learning, the aspects of like coloring and all the post production, which was uncharted territory for me, I would tell the vendors and the reps that we had, I would say, explain this to me once and then I'm good. But like, I don't know what you want here. Wait, can you break it down for me? I'm being transparent and great. Now I got it. So there's that. And then the other thing is, yes, there's a lot of people who don't get invited back. You also have to be an enjoyable person to go through a 12-hour workday with, which in my opinion is sometimes more important than knowing what you're doing. So you can have someone who's really good at their job, but really brings down the energy. And I just simply don't want to work with that person anymore because we're all tired and cranky. These are long, strenuous days. And if you have someone who's kind of bringing it down, for me, it's simply not worth it. So you have to also be an enjoyable person to be around on long, stressful days.
We might be in the era of assholes not being acceptable anymore.
Exactly. And you can see it happening, especially, I mean, I think I'm going off on a tangent now, but like, especially nowadays with social media and like everyone can post their opinions on whatever platform, you get exposed quick nowadays. I think if you're a jerk or difficult to work with, you can't keep that under wraps anymore. I'm sure that you have your like A-list talent that they can get away with it because they are so and so, and everyone just kind of has to put up with it. But for almost anyone else, I mean, you're going to get exposed, and the people turn on you. So that's
And you just reminded me. I mean, look, we actually are. There might be one good thing about social media, which is
right.
because heck, when a A-list actor is an asshole to a waiter, we find out now.
Absolutely. I've worked on a show. I won't name names, but I worked on a show where the main talent was exposed for being a jerk at a restaurant, and then that person kind of had his or her show, well, his show taken away. And it's
I
like,
think we're talking about the same person.
probably. I worked
And
on that show for years.
and I knew someone who worked in the studio next to that person's
Okay.
show,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she would get everything set up properly like a meal, and then he didn't even work on that show, and he would come over and steal the food and ruin what everything she set up. And
We
she's
are
like, that guy
absolutely
was a
talking
huge
about the
asshole.
same person. Yeah.
And I was like,
Look,
oh my God.
all it takes is one waiter with a Twitter account or however it started, and that it spreads like fire. The audience chews on that stuff, and then look at the person now.
Yeah. And we live in a world where most of the assholes know if you're an asshole, you got to at least hide it.
Exactly. Yeah. At least be very good at hiding it if you can't fix the fact that you're difficult to work with. But so anyways, I mean, just for the whole
Anyway,
PA,
but it also makes, obviously, if that's your attitude and you and John are partners with Ashley, obviously the Mannequin was one of those sets where it was super positive and everyone was friends and getting along and devoted to, there was no jockeying of egos and shit like that.
exactly. Nobody had time for it. We didn't have the budget for it. And it just simply was not that. I mean, sure, there were plenty of days that were exhausting, and one person couldn't come in 100% because they're beaten up from the last day, and that's natural and that's fine. But you have to be a team that works together. And if I know that somebody can't be 100% that day, then I'll go and be 120%. And that being said, I mean, there was a day where I got my butt kicked from the day before and the night leading up to it, and I remember I showed up, and I think it was like maybe our second or third last day of shooting, and I was like, we're at the home stretch. I've got to pull it together. But I was honest with Ashley and stuff, and I was like, I don't have much in me today. So like, can you show up? Can you stay in front of me? And that's what making a creative collaborative team is.
Some days there's not enough coffee in the world, huh?
Exactly. Seriously. It's funny. I mean, I'll tell a funny story because it's all I can see. But in the film, when my character comes back, there is a scene that I am explaining a lot of the exposition that gets us to. I sit down with the girls and I basically say, I'm a professional in this field. This is what's happening. putting it very simply. The only thing I can see in that scene are how bagged and tired my eyes are. That's the day where I had nothing in me, and I was like, I know I got to do this shot. And the only thing I can still notice is like how dead and tired and beaten up I look. I had nothing behind those eyes, but we pulled it off, and the scene still looks great. So
That is yeah, well, I guess it's refreshing. I mean, look, that's what most of us do when we see pictures on social media. We're like, "Oh God, I look
oh, I look
tired."
like yeah, right, right.
And then, your friends are like, "No, you look normal." And I'm like, "Oh boy."
You
But
never
anyway, yeah.
see, yeah, and no one else sees it, but it's the only
No one
thing.
sees it but us. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is
right.
funny.
But
And heck, your character was supposed to be strung out, tired guy anyway.
exactly. So it worked. It worked.
It worked.
But yeah, that's a very long-winded answer to how did I get started?
Yeah, no, well, and it sounds like, and I mean, fingers crossed. I would assume the role, the producer role that you fulfilled for the Mannequin sounds like you actually got to grow on the
Absolutely.
producer side.
Oh
So
yeah.
because your acting is excellent, but now you can even say like, I can. Next person who asks you if you can produce a film, you won't be faking it till you make it. You've made it.
Exactly, exactly, and that was, I mean, I was transparent about that the whole time with, with John and with Ashley. There were things that none of us knew how to do, and I was like, okay, this is the training wheels. This is where we're going to learn. And like I said earlier, it's like, great, you got to show me once. Now I got it. So yes, to what you're saying is like the next time on the next film, I've got a blueprint. We know what to do.
And, I don't know how the world works anymore. The film industry is kind of in flux, but people who can produce horror films should have careers, I think.
I hope
People
so.
who have a track record, we're like,
Knock on wood for that. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it is the genre that
Absolutely.
keeps AVOD alive, really.
It really is. I mean, it's interesting. There's the business behind horror and whatnot. Like, I've known this for a while. It's one of those. It's the genre that you can still kind of make for cheap, and it can work even if it was made for on a low budget. And it still is the genre that people want to go see in theaters because you want it to be big and loud and scary. And there's not a, compared to like the rom-com genre, for example, which has taken a huge dip recently. That's the movie that you're going to wait till it comes out on Netflix or Hulu because you don't need to see it, on a huge screen. So horror, for luckily, is still in that thing. In my opinion, it's like horror movies or like superhero movies are the ones where still get the biggest numbers of people going to see it in a theater. And there's a passionate fan base, which I'm a part of, and if you're a horror head, you'll see as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, and the horror the horror fan population is wide and deep, and they'll give it a try.
Right,
That the great thing about horror is you don't need actors you've seen before to be
right,
listed in that film to give it a
exactly,
try. You know?
exactly.
That's
You see
why,
so many people start their careers in horror.
right? And lousy films on Tubi that are horror
Right,
still get all these views because people give it a try.
exactly.
But then when there's a good one, when you end up there, then people watch it to
Hopefully,
the
people
end
pay
and the
attention
algorithm
and it
boosts it up,
spreads. Yeah,
and like, yeah, I think things can catch fire for sure.
yeah, yeah. So that's our goal and hope.
That's your goal.
Yeah.
And more of the same, are you or did the Mannequin keep you so busy for was it about a 6 month process in total or 9?
For shooting.
Yeah, well, no, for you, like, I'm wondering if it kept
Oh,
you from auditioning and stuff for a while.
not necessarily with that. I mean, I can still do it. Like post production was obviously the biggest time thing. So we have been, I mean, confidently 2.5 years, but with conversations and any table pre-reads. I mean, this has been one of the main priorities for me, money, paycheck or not, but still making sure that it crosses the finish line for more or less the past 3 years.
Wow, see,
But
that's
with that, I
really
mean,
important for people to know, right? That
yeah, right. I mean, you got to be really, dedicated to this project. I mean, throughout post, it's not working every day on it. We're not, John and I probably on average talk once a day just to kind of go through some things. But there's, every once in a while, there's a pocket of a week where it's like we just had nothing to cover. So through that, I mean, still everything has been back to normal for me. But certainly through pre-production and shooting, no, that was everything. That was the whole. My whole brain was dedicated to the Mannequin.
Excellent, excellent. And are there more collaborations coming? I mean, it was sounds like I admit that I'm kind of addicted to the idea and I'm a fan of the repertory theater vibe, especially
Yeah,
with, you know what I
absolutely.
mean? Like, even when, when great directors always have the same cast,
Right.
like it
And
works.
we have that. So, I mean, yes, to answer your question, I mean, I know that, and I'll let John tell you more about this when you guys chat. He's zeroed in on the next project. He has the script. He's working on the pitch deck and the storyboard. And all of us have talked about it. We're all more or less coming back for this. And that's the thing I love about it. Like Mike Flanagan does it really well, and he uses the same people and the same cast. And like I said, even with Daniel out in New York, I had joined this repertory theater company where it was all the same people. I love that. That's kind of what I was raised in, and I want to keep it going as much as possible. So, yes, there is another project on the horizon with that team, which is very exciting. I mean, that's the other key to just making it such a fun experience with people is, we're in it for the long haul with each other.
And by the way, I didn't react to the news that you had met Daniel when you were fresh out of school and
Yeah,
whatnot,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
went to New York with him. But that's
yeah.
amazing to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know him, so I don't have to
I
sell
know
it.
him, but the
He's
funny
such
thing
an
is,
amazing
for
person.
anyone listening, Daniel Talbot has had films in our two festivals
Right.
since before COVID, I believe,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
either right
Yeah.
after it, like
He
at
was.
least 5 years, and he's been a key alumni
Yep.
coming back for panels and things, and
Yeah. He has a new thing now, Black Cat with screenings where he's just one of those people as well that like want to just promote filmmakers. And so he's just such a amazing. It's ironic that now we're talking like he ironically was the person that kind of plucked me out of a college student life that I had and said, "Are you ready to start working?" And I said, "Yeah, let's go."
and what's so funny is I am 99.9% sure that he was there the night of your screening, but he was in the next theater
Just
over
doing, yeah, right.
because he agreed to moderate the Q&A for an amazing documentary out of Germany
That's correct.
that
Yeah.
that was so I didn't even know that he was friends with
Yeah.
with you all next door.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty funny, and I'm just gonna, because this releases. I think this podcast will come out in mid-November.
Right.
He's gonna find out next week that he has a film in Sherman Oaks Film Festival this
Okay.
December.
Well, I'm rooting
His
for
next
him.
short is in,
Okay. Fantastic.
and
Well,
it's
that's
not
great.
because he's an awesome person. It's because it's an awesome film.
He makes amazing work. I mean, I can't, he's so dedicated to it as well. And he's the same mentality. He works with the same people. Once you are in on his family that he creates, you're in.
Yeah, in fact, sometimes I get confused because he refers to that's my brother, and I know his real
Right.
life brother is often in his films, but
Right.
sometimes I realize, oh, wait a minute, you just feel like you're just close to everybody.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
is, and I gotta admit, I'm a hugger, and every time I see him,
That's a
he's a
hug.
hugger too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Gotta love the huggers.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent, excellent, and so that's great. Anything else you want to mention? Well, you've already mentioned that there is another one brewing, which is great news.
You're right. There's another one brewing with John, which is great. I mean, yeah, there's other stuff. There's another actor and producer that I'm close with. His name's Julio Macias. He became popular on a Netflix show called On My Block. And so he has this like amazing, very dedicated following. We've also been friends for a long time. We've worked on projects together, and we are working on it's probably more of a rom-com at this point, ironically to what I was just saying. But he's got this project that we would be co-producing. I think he would play the lead, and I'd probably play one of the more ensemble characters. But he's another person like John and like Daniel that we've worked together for a very long time. He's had amazing success recently. And the best part is that it just opens up more doors for him and his family type of scenario. So we have a project as well that we're getting close to. So yeah, trying to just see which one can really start going. But there's a couple exciting ideas that would be potentially for my next year.
Excellent. Well, I guess I'll also mention this is funny. I'm looking at your IMDb while we're talking, but I am listening to you. I
Yeah, yeah.
promise. But because I thought you should, do you want to? Where can people see that first collaboration you did with John?
But John, Initiation.
Initiation, it was
Yeah,
called.
Initiation was the first feature. That is out. I think that should be out on Amazon, just streaming now.
Oh, so people it's included with Prime, so people can.
Yeah, at least it was. I assume it's still there. I didn't get news that it was necessarily taken down. But yeah, Initiation is out. We shot that out in I think 2018, and that was a lot of the. It's a lot of the same crew, a lot of the same cast, especially the primary cast. We're all still. It was like we all kind of got back together for the Mannequin. So yeah, you're able to view Initiation on Amazon Prime
So
streaming.
people should search for Initiation on Amazon Prime Video. And guess what? You were in our festival before.
No, it wasn't.
We screened the film White Now, Please.
Did you really with Kyle
Yes.
Lau?
Yes.
Oh wow!
White Now, Please was in probably I would have to look it up, but
Is that right? You know what?
we
Admittedly,
showed that film before we moved theaters, so it would have
No
had to be
way.
2022 maybe or 3.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think it was. Yeah. Admittedly, I have a very, very small role in that. But Kyle Lau, who's the writer and director of it, he's another friend from UCLA that he's currently crushing it right now. My role in that was the main character is a kid. I mean, you saw it. I'm one of the superheroes on the posters that he's looking up to. So I wasn't necessarily in it. I'm just on a poster as like I think it was like Ant-Man or they
Yeah,
put me.
it does list you as poster superhero too.
Yeah.
Still,
So
when I'm looking at your IMDb and I also talk about a title, I will never forget that title for as long as
right.
I live. And
Why now? Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful kid actor in that film.
Absolutely. And Kyle, I don't know if you had met him, but he is going to run this entire industry one day. He is a legendary person to be close with, and he just works so hard. So yeah, when he called saying, "I don't really have a role here for you, but can you come and help on this one thing? We need a white guy, basically." I was like, "I will be there in 30 minutes." Kyle's just one of those guys.
There's nothing wrong with, especially in a film with a title like White Now, Please.
Right.
There's
Right.
nothing wrong with the reverse happening and being like, you know what, we need our token white guy.
Exactly. I'm the guy.
You're the guy.
Yeah.
You got a superhero look.
That's so funny. I did, yeah, right. You take that as a compliment. Can you be a superhero? But that's so funny. I didn't know that. So that's so cool.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. And yeah, well, excellent. All right. Well, I guess I'll wrap us up
All right.
by recommending everyone. So there will be, I'll have Maxwell send me clickable link, all the links that people need to
Sure,
check
yeah.
out you and the work and any films that are out there that you're proud of that you want people to check out. Because
Absolutely.
very cool that you have stuff out there. And I will and congrats again on the Mannequin and everything.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I just need to say again, thank you so much for chatting again and meeting you. What was it, 2 months ago at Film Invasion? Was just such a lovely experience. I said before, but like walking in, you're always in jitters. And seeing past collaborators that I've worked with before, and then meeting you, it just felt you put on such an amazing event. And it's just really it's really nice to be part of. So it's just really great chatting with you again.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, we I guess I have to say the cheap joke. I mean, there's we make the t-shirts, our t-shirts for the 10th anniversary of Film Invasion LA. I had talked about this for years, and we finally made a shirt that said the festival that gives a shit.
It's so true. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
And someone said, "Don't you want to make it a festival that gives a shit so others might?" I'm like,
Well,
if others do, they can
right.
say use
They
the
can do
same.
that too,
We
yeah.
certainly didn't. There's no TM next to it.
You're right. No, but it was so apparent and so clear. So I mean, we were just like I said, it was our first LA premiere, and so that was our first time coming together, feeling like we crossed the finish line, and like it was a celebratory thing, getting the cast and crew together to see it.
Yeah, so special. You know what? I'm going to ask one film specific question because I've always wanted to know after seeing the Mannequin,
Yeah,
which is who found the building?
that was me.
You found the building.
That
That
was me,
building
yeah.
is a character in the film. That building is huge for that film.
Yeah, it made it. I mean, and we even made rewrites. I think originally we were going to shoot in John's apartment. John has a very big loft as well. So I think when he was originally writing it, he was just imagining it in his space. And I think, funny enough, we did a location scout day when we were getting ready, and it was the first place on my list. I think I found it on Gigster. You know, I just found a bunch of loft areas in downtown, and we spent a day just driving around and bopping around, and it was the first place. We loved it. Obviously, it is such a character in itself, especially with the long tinted windows, and because it was different than I mean, it's such a like a long skinny space. And I remember we were trying to figure, like, we were maybe going to build fake walls to make alleyways, or like, you know, a hallway, or other rooms. And we just decided, like, John really tweaked a lot in the script to make it all work. And props to Emily Peters, our production designer, for getting these like huge sewing tables. But that was a lot of it. We had, you know, every time you got to flip the cameras around, we got to shift all these like 400-pound tables up. And I mean, we were just shoving those things left and right throughout that whole space. But yeah, Loft 1923 in downtown was the main character.
Yeah, actually, one of the first images we see.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
it shifts to color.
And it's so fun that you probably saw it and went, wait, I know that place. And now I see it in like photo shoots all the time. I recognize it. So they're a busy place. And we were able to make that our home for about 2 weeks and just keep our stuff there. And we rented it out, which was really, really great.
That's so smart. That's so smart. That talk about, and Lord knows, yeah, that's the right location can make an indie film sing for sure.
Absolutely. So it made it for us, and yeah, it just brings so much life to a lot.
And kudos that you know, it's in downtown Los Angeles. Lord knows, most of the time when we have a horror film with a great location in our festivals, it's almost always, you know, someone's like, well, that actually is my grandparents' property in Idaho.
Yeah.
Like we had access to a farm, so we wrote a horror film on a farm. You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's where a lot of it. So you know, it had a lot of ups and a lot of downs too. It's still downtown LA. I remember one day we were having lunch out in the parking lot. We had the tables out there, and we just smelled a dumpster fire from, you know, the alleyway over, and we're just breathing in this like tar. So it's still downtown LA.
Yeah, you still have helicopters and
oh yeah,
horns, and I'm sure your sound person was a little like,
yeah. We ended up just bringing it into the space. I mean, throughout the movie, you're hearing cars drive by. We couldn't hide the fact that it's right next to a freeway, even with the glass windows. I mean, you're seeing headlights. So we were like, okay, let's build it into the world. So really, in that jump cut of the first, you know, when it goes to modern day, you see it's a jump cut, and boom, there's a freeway built right there.
Yeah, but it puts you in the urban landscape, and it makes it that much more authentic. So, bravo, and you found it. Excellent.
Yeah, thanks.
I will do my wrap up. So first, thank you, Maxwell.
Thank you. Yeah,
and thank you to everyone who's listening. If you're listening, do that shit where you like and subscribe, you write a review, whatever. Be nice. I close every podcast by recommending kindness. You know, when you're kind to someone else, it actually does more for you than the person you're being kind to. So be a selfish asshole and be kind to everyone you meet all the time, because you'll find out you just got yourself. It's like makes you happier even than drugs. So
here.
I added the drug thing for the first time. So if you want to learn more about this podcast, just go to discoverindiefilm.com. On social media, it's always at DIFwins. If you go to discoverindiefilm.org, that is the nonprofit that runs 2 film festivals in the Los Angeles area, the sister festivals of Film Invasion Los Angeles that did the LA premiere for The Mannequin, and the Sherman Oaks Film Festival that had White Now Please. I'm with Maxwell on the wall as a superhero. Both those festivals are in Film Freeway's top 100 best reviewed list out of 14,000 in the world. So you know, supporting a nonprofit that supports indie film isn't the worst suggestion I ever made. So that's discoverindiefilm.org, and that'll take you to both websites for Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Filmvasion LA. And I called them sister festivals, and next year they get a cousin. In January of 2026, we are holding the first ever Film Invasion Lima in Peru.
Whoa, okay. Congrats. That's awesome.
It's that reactions like yours make me so happy.
That's so cool.
It just worked out. You know, we always had it in mind to expand the Film Invasion to other cities.
Sure, yeah.
And every time someone would approach me about it, I'd give them the rundown of how much work's involved, and they'd back out.
Yeah.
And we have an alumni team down in Lima, Peru. They've been with our festivals twice.
Wow.
Great husband and wife team making really creative stuff down there. Cool. And they said to me at the closing mixer of Sherman Oaks Film Festival last December, we were sitting in the bar of the Look Cinemas in Glendale and talking to everybody, and they pulled me aside and said, God, we wish we had a community like this down in Lima. And I said, well, if you'd like a community of indie filmmakers to hang out with, you could be the festival runners for a Film Invasion down there. And we talked about it for a couple weeks afterwards, and we worked it out. So finally I found a team willing to put in the work to put on a festival, because, oh my God, London almost happened, Vancouver almost happened, Tempe, Arizona almost happened, like all these almost. But when I tell them, by the way, like, I've got I'll give you all the support I can. But at this point, our two festivals have grown to the point that, like, you know, I used to get like a month or two off after a festival, and now like there's hundreds of films to watch right away for the next.
Right. You got to go right back in.
Not to mention the sponsors and everything else. But anyway.
Thanks to them. But we will see you in Lima. To the listeners and maybe viewers, we will see you in Lima, Peru.
If and when, yeah, no, hopefully Lima will grow, and when we stop recording, I'll tell you how much the theater in Lima is costing us, but it's 1/7 what a theater in Los Angeles does.
Gotta love Central or South America. Peru,
it's South America, yeah.
South America,
another continent. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And I do comfort myself that if it's a disaster, it's not like anyone will know.
Right. That's a good point.
I shouldn't say that while we're recording. All right, Maxwell. This was a pleasure.
It was the pleasure was all mine. Thank you, Jeff.
And thank you everyone for listening.
Thanks.